Well, you spent some time laboring over your jewelry creation, and as you stare at it in pride, the exciting idea of selling it crosses your mind. But what should you charge? You scroll Etsy comparing your ideal pricing to your competition and even begin to question the numbers that they come up with. Like, how do they even live on that, you wonder? After a bit, you give up and maybe even consider picking a random number out of a hat. Though I definitely would not recommend doing that. So how should you go about pricing your pieces fairly while still making a profit? Well, that's what I hope to answer for you in this video. Hey there, jewelry makers. I'm Elizabeth with Ellie's Handcrafted Jewelry, and welcome to my little studio. Now, I've been selling jewelry since 2019, and pricing by far was one of the trickiest things for me to learn when I was first starting out. You're very unsure of how to price your pieces while still making sure that you're making a profit, while still also being fair to your customers. And that's what I'm really hoping to address in this video. But before we jump in, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe so that way you don't miss videos like this one in the future. Now, there are over a dozen different types of pricing methods out there, but I'm going to go ahead and focus on 3 that I think are going to be best for the handmade jewelry seller. Otherwise, you may be pricing to compete against high volume, low cost jewelry sellers, which is not the place that you want to be. So what are these pricing methods? The first method I want to introduce you to is called cost plus pricing. And basically it takes your material cost, your labor cost, and then multiplies that number by 2. And I'll give you a little bit of an example here so that way it's easier for you to kind of get an idea of what I mean. So material cost would be things like wire, beads, stones, packing materials, shipping boxes. So basically anything that you're going to be shipping out the door to your customer, that needs to be included in your material cost. As far as labor cost, that's going to be basically what you want to be paid per hour. So for this example, I'm just going to say, let's do $20 an hour. So you make a necklace, it costs you $3 in materials, $3 for shipping and packing materials, and then $20 for the hour of labor it took to make the piece. So then you just add all of that up. So 3 plus 3 is 6, plus the 20 is 26, and then multiply that number by 2, and you get 52. Pretty easy, right? And you can easily adjust your profit margin if you're wanting to make a little bit more just by multiplying that by a higher number. So for example, 2.5 or 3 or even 4. Hey, really quick, I wanted to let you know that you actually might be missing out. In the description of all my videos are all kinds of goodies. Things like quality suppliers for tools, wires, and stones, free resources, links to tutorials, and more. Plus, there's a link to a business basics spreadsheet that includes a pricing calculator, inventory sheets, and more. I made this for you in the hopes of getting you started off on the right foot, so that way you are confident in your pricing as you are selling your pieces and you don't start off in the red. So be sure to check that out before you go. Now, back to the video. Now, the second pricing method that I wanted to touch on is called value-based pricing. Now, this type of pricing is going to focus more on your USP or your unique selling proposition. So basically the value that your jewelry is providing external to the jewelry itself. For an example, let's say you sell dainty birthstone jewelry that's meant to represent a special anniversary or birthday, but is ideal for their active lifestyle. Or maybe you focus on some kind of metaphysical properties that benefit your customer. The price of your jewelry will then be reflected by the value that it is itself providing the customer. This can especially be leveraged by those who craft one-of-a-kind pieces, as you can really show the value of your pieces through your own unique story and crafting process. Now, personally, I would use the cost plus pricing to begin with, just to kind of get a starter, figure out all your material cost and your labor cost, and then use that as a minimum, and then build off of that based on the value you're providing your customers. You can also poll potential customers on social media and ask them what they would be willing to pay for your pieces through the lens of the value that your piece is providing. Also, the perception of value will also be determined by the types of materials that you use for your pieces. For an example, if you're using silver and gold and semi-precious stones or even precious stones over brass and copper and glass, those you can easily charge more for because they are seen as more valuable. A great book that delves more into this topic is called The Desired Brand Effect. It is written by Tracy Matthews, and it really helped me to understand a little bit more about how to set up a jewelry business and find my ideal client. I've left a link to that book in the description below. Now, the final pricing method that I kind of want to touch on is keystone or wholesale pricing. So if you're wanting to sell in, say, art galleries, boutiques, local stores, things like that, you're going to need to have a couple different prices. You're going to need to have a wholesale price and a retail price. The simplest way to determine that is to take your material cost, labor cost, and multiply it times 2. So basically using the cost plus pricing method, and then taking that number and multiplying it by 2 for the retail price. So altogether for a retail price, you're going to be multiplying by 4. for the wholesale price, you'll multiply by 2. I've also seen other companies do it this way, where they multiply the entire cost of production making the piece by 5 and then dividing that number by 2. So it gives you a little bit more margin and more to work with. However, if your pieces are more one of a kind or really time consuming to create, then I would highly recommend looking into something like doing custom orders, because you can charge more for the special attention to those pieces. Well, now that we've gone through the 3 different pricing methods, which one should you choose for your business? And I would say it just really depends on the type of business you're wanting to run and the direction you want to go with it. If you prefer to sell to boutiques and stores, then you'll want to use wholesale pricing and work on creating pieces more quickly and efficiently. Now, if you're like me and you get bored of making the same pieces over and over, then I highly recommend considering value-based pricing for exclusive collections and custom bespoke pieces. But if you're just starting out and you're really not sure what to do, then the cost plus pricing is a great way to start. And then from there, you can basically experiment with your prices and see what your customers are willing to pay for your pieces. Now, as far as determining what to actually charge for your hourly rate, that's really going to depend. From what I've observed, the more skill you have, the more you can charge for your labor. For example, metalsmiths and silversmiths can charge much more for their time than wire wrappers because of the skill involved in creating their pieces. But labor can also greatly vary based on the individual skill itself. As an example, I was charging $10 per hour for my pieces when I first started, and now I can charge anywhere from $20 to $30 comfortably, depending on the types of jewelry I'm making, because my wire weaving skills have gotten better over the years. Now, if you're still not sure where to start with your labor cost, then I would look at it this way. So you're going to determine how much you're going to want to work for your business, so the hours per week or per month that you want to put into running your business, how many pieces you're actually able to create in that amount of time, and then determine your labor from there. And I've actually created a free guide for you to kind of help you do this, and I've left a link in the description to where you can snag one for yourself. And it's also one of the reasons that I include a pricing calculator with my beginner course, so that when you are ready to sell your pieces, you can be confident that you are charging something that is both reasonable and is going to make you a profit. Now, I hope that this video was helpful to you. If you have any questions at all, go ahead and leave them in the comments section as I try to get to them as quickly as I can. And don't forget to check the description below also for free resources like the free guide and calculating your labor cost, as well as the link to the business basics, which includes a pricing calculator, inventory sheets, and a way to keep track of transactions and custom orders. It's just kind of something to help you get started off on the right foot, so that way your business doesn't end up in the red. And until next time, happy weaving.